DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Against the Boards. Chamberlain Bauder here with you as we talk Amerks and Knighthawks and all the hockey and lacrosse in Western New York that we can. Unfortunately, though, we are right in the thick of it. In 2 days, the Rochester Knighthawks will open their home season, and I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But it's coming down the pipe. We're going to talk a little bit of Amerks, and then I'll send you over to Spencer to give you a game preview. I'll just preface real quick. This week is going to be a bit of a shorter episode because things are about to get a little bit longer in the next couple of ones as we get more and more interview clips from games for Knighthawks as we go, and Spencer will be filling you in more with those. We'll have more interviews as well. Hopefully we'll also be getting back into the Amerks interview side of things once 2026 rolls around. But Merry Christmas to everyone, because next week at the time that we would release an episode, it will be Christmas. But ready to talk Amerks, coming off of a tough 3-2 loss that saw no goals scored in the third period yesterday. Amerks finally end their point streak. In the month of December, though, it's one of those things, you know, a point streak is great, but a point streak also gives you that kind of like false hope that you're doing really well. 3 of their losses in the midst of that point streak were either overtime losses or shootout losses. Is it great to get a point back from those? Yes, it is. Does it feel good to be clinging on to the fact that of the last 5 games, you only won 2 of them, but you've gotten points out of all of them? I don't know. It is definitely a tough feeling, though. We take a look at what Amerks sit atop the AHL. Consta Hellenius currently 14th in the AHL among forwards, or among all skaters for points, and then Zach Jones, of course, unsurprisingly, the assist monster, sits there at 9 of all AHL scorers so far this season. Something interesting this year that in years past, this has never been the case. Devin Levi's top 10 in the AHL right now in goalie wins. He is not top 20 in any other stat line. When you go on the AHL website to go through a stat tracking check, he is not a top 10 goalie in the AHL right now. Tough to be that when you have 3 goals scored on 19 shots. Tough when you have a game that has that few shots to come up with all of the saves that you need to, but it was interesting listening to Coach Leo talk about this game this morning, listening to him from last night. He just said straight up the guys didn't want it enough. They looked at a Utica squad that had 8 guys out of their starting lineup and they said, oh, cool, we'll coast. And Utica said, we're now 8 guys new to this group that want to prove something. And ultimately they did. Held the Amerks to 2 goals in that game, held them to a low shot total, under 20 for both teams. I mean, that was about as much of a North Division slug out as you're going to get at this point in time. It's crazy to think that a 2-3 game is a slug out, but with all the 9-6 games that we see, I mean, it's not, I guess, that surprising. But yeah, definitely a tough way for that one to go. Some line changes in the second almost made things kind of work out. But when you look at that game specifically yesterday, let's talk about it a little bit more. The goals that get scored, and this has been a theme, it feels like, throughout the season. It's when the mistake happens, the opposing team takes advantage. Sidolov Komarov gets knocked down as he's trying to drive in at the point of attack in the offensive end, gets bumped, drops to the ground, boom, 3-on-2 or 3-on-1 the other way, actually. Have to acknowledge the fact that that second goal by Utica literally got scored because Jagger Joshua decided he needed a change. Go back and watch the clip. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The fast break starts at the Utica blue line, and while the fast break is starting, Jagger Joshua is coasting to the bench. It's just like, and then on the first goal, it's fully just a turnover by the defense in their own zone. There's moments that it's just kind of like, I get that, they've been playing consistently day after day, and now that thankfully after Friday, they're going to get a big old break for a week with Christmas. But, yeah, you could tell that they didn't want it as much as Utica did last night. And Leo said that straight up. They did not want it enough, and that's what you get when you don't want it enough, ultimately. Tough to be on a somber moment talking about the Amerks. I just got right into the bag earlier before I started recording and kind of got into all of the game footage and everything from the last couple of days. And, they're still riding high. They're third in the North Division right now, 2 points behind Syracuse, 4 points behind Laval. But ultimately just hitting a little bit of a rift that it feels like to me, a loss might be exactly what this squad needed to kind of snap out of it. That whole point streak while losing an overtime thing is just kind of like, oh yeah, we still got something. We also then had to play for another extra 5 minutes, and on Saturday last week had to play through 8 rounds of a shootout. It usually can be good in my mind to get, when you have that long of a season, a little smack at Christmas of, hey, don't coast. You can't coast. This isn't how this works. That's not how this league works. So I guess we'll see ultimately as they take on the Senators on Friday, and then they get a week hiatus before they take on the Monsters after Christmas on Friday next week. But that's going to do it for us for Amerks talk, and now it is time to turn it over to Spencer Conley. Of course, the Knighthawks riding off of their 15-7 win over San Diego last week. Ryan Hartley sets a franchise record for saves at 59. The numbers change frequently. Anyone wondering, 5-9 on 66 shots. That was Ryan Hartley's stat line. It got updated like 3 times over the course of the week. I just don't want anyone to be confused. The last final update from the NLL, Ryan Hartley, .894 save percentage, 7 goals against, 66 shots faced on goal, 66 shots and 59 saves. Also, how about them forwards? Anyways, that is going to do it for me. As we get into this home opener, be ready for some pre-game interview clips, some post-game interview clips, as Spencer kind of puts a story together and tells you the story of the game. And boy, am I ready for Philly on Saturday. All right, take it away, Spencer.
If I had to describe last Sunday in San Diego in 3 letters, it would be BTA. The Rochester Knighthawks went into San Diego and obliterated the San Diego Seals by a final score of 15-7. Everything that could have gone right went for the Rochester Knighthawks. This is the best 3-phase performance I have seen from the new era Rochester Knighthawks. Between goaltending and between the pipes of Ryan Hartley, he was unbelievable. The transition game was decent. Offense was firing on all cylinders, scoring 15 goals, and the defense held it down in the back end. First, we're going to go back and look at my keys to the game. Number 1 is to stop Trey Leclerc and Corey Small. Fortunately for the Knighthawks, Corey Small was out with an injury, and they held Trey Leclerc to only 3 points on the night. Second key was the magic number of 14 goals. Last year, the Knighthawks were very successful, going 8-1 when scoring 14 or more. On Sunday, they scored 15 in the domination in San Diego. Third and final key to the game was to start fast. San Diego was very good against Ottawa early on, and against Rochester they had nothing. Knighthawks led at one point 6-1 and 8-2 in the first half. Ryan Hartley between the pipes was just phenomenal. Unbelievable game, and as I'm looking at his career stats, his 58 save performance against San Diego is a new career high for him. I've seen a lot of people online talking about the fact that the Knighthawks gave up 65 shots, and yes, that's a very large number. Not a great number for the Knighthawks. But another thing to keep in mind is the battle at the face-off X. Trevor Baptiste is the best in the business and has been for a couple of years now. You can't really do a whole lot. Jeremy Thompson held his own at the dot. He didn't allow Baptiste to get really any clean wins. Always made him battle for it, and that's what you wanted to see out of Thompson. Baptiste went 24 for 26. So if you just take those numbers and just look at it, that's 24 extra possessions for San Diego. Now, I don't think they got shots on every single one of those possessions, but they did on probably 90% of them. So take that, at least give them 22 shots. That's shot discrepancy right there. It shows what went on at the face-off X and how it translates to extra opportunities for the Seals. Now we're going to look at the Knighthawks offense against the Seals. It might be time to start talking about Thomas McConvey. He was unbelievable. 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points on only 7 shots on net. That shooting percentage is unbelievable. Ryan Lansbury had another Ryan Lansbury type game, adding in 2 goals and then having 7 helpers for 9 points. That's what he did all year last year. Had over 100 points a year ago. Looking to do the same this year. Ryan Smith was with his casual hat trick, 3 goals to go along with 4 assists for 7 points. Again, only 8 shots on goal. Another very efficient game for number 43. Connor Fields, reigning MVP, had another MVP-type game. 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points. Against the Seals, Zed Williams was held off the score sheet. I don't think he's fully 100% back yet. Obviously, coming off the Achilles injury, it takes time to come back. Definitely saw his impact, though. He had a couple of really good picks set inside the free Ryan Smith and Ryan Lansbury. Also, we were on a 5-on-3 penalty kill, and he wasted 30 seconds. He was getting hammered, but he just kept on holding on to the ball. Just a great teammate, great player, and they're going to need more out of that this upcoming weekend against Philadelphia. Jeremy Thompson did what the Knighthawks needed him to do and more. He had a good game with 10 ground balls, and he had a beautiful interception for a caused turnover. We're going to give a little shout out to the grandpa, Ian Lord, with a goal in this one. It was a beautiful shot in transition, just letting it rip. Finds the back of the net. It's really good for Ian Lord. He did his thing with 2 blocked shots, and he got called for the new penalty. Starting this year, you cannot block a shot as a player in the crease unless you are the goaltender. I've seen that call missed a lot over the first 3 weeks, but as the season goes on, the refs are probably going to start cracking down on that. Thomas McConvey got the party started early on with a goal 27 seconds in off of a Ryan Smith shot. He got the rebound and buried it in a Cody Jameson-type crease dive. Pat Kavanaugh responded about 6 minutes later with a goal to tie the game at 1-1. And then the Knighthawks went on a tear, scoring 7 of the next 8 goals, with 3 of them coming from Connor Fields. San Diego scored the final 2 goals of the first half, coming from Connor Robinson and then again Pat Kavanaugh. Go to halftime with an 8-4 lead for the Knighthawks. Third quarter didn't start so great for Rochester. Trey LeClaire and Dylan Watson scored 2 goals back-to-back. Turned it down to a 2-goal game. And then the Knighthawks came back flying. Ended the quarter on a 5-goal run with Ryan Lansbury starting the party, and this would go all the way into the fourth quarter, where they would score 2 more to cap it at a 7-0 run, finished off by Ian Lord. Dylan Watson scored with 33 seconds left to trim the lead down to 8. During the 5-goal run in the second quarter, Jake Pacino had a beautiful transition goal. Ryan Hartley dropped the ball right in the bucket. Pacino caught it, ran, just finished right on the crease in front of Chris Origlieri, giving the Knighthawks a 10-6 lead. Now looking at the game totals, Knighthawks won every single quarter, scoring 3 in the first, 5 in the second, again 5 in the third, and 2 in the fourth. Knighthawks spent 57 minutes and 37 seconds with the lead and never trailed in this game. That is huge. Longest goal run for the Knighthawks was at 7, and the biggest lead of the game was at 9. Knighthawks had a bit of a drought in between the second and third quarter with a 9-minute and 33-second drought. But on the other hand, San Diego had a 25-minute and 24-second drought. So that is a big difference in goal droughts, and that was huge, with Ryan Hartley just being an animal in that. I was very pleased with the Knighthawks' discipline. Really only had 3 penalties during the game. McConvey had a roughing and a dead ball foul with 17 seconds left, but the game was over at that point. Gillies had a holding penalty. Graydon Hogg had a roughing penalty, and Ian Lord, as we mentioned earlier, had the delay of game for blocking a shot in the crease. Ryan Hartley, again, an absolute animal. SportsCenter Top 10, number 5 play of the day on Sunday. Next, we're going to look at some of the other games around the league in Week 3. First game of the week was a bit of an upset. The Ottawa Black Bears came storming back against the Saskatchewan Rush and winning the game 11-8. Next, on Saturday, we had a slate of games, starting off with the Philadelphia Wings, the Knighthawks' next opponent on Saturday, winning against Colorado Mammoth 8-7. Another upset, in my opinion. As we move on to Saturday night, Toronto Rock beat the Calgary Roughnecks 11-10 in a back-and-forth game in Hamilton, Ontario. Maybe the biggest upset of the night was the Halifax Thunderbirds defeating the Buffalo Bandits 9-8 in overtime. Then we got to look at Brett Dobson and Doug Jamieson in between the pipes with the matchup of the Oshawa Firewolves and the Georgia Swarm. Georgia pretty much dominated this one, a 9-5 win. Again, the Oshawa offense has just been abysmal. The Knighthawks have scored 15 goals in one game, and Oshawa's only scored 15 in 3 combined. So it's been a very rough start for the Firewolves since they've moved from Albany to Oshawa. Night ended with a dominant win for the Vancouver Warriors against the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. Warriors had a really big lead in this one. Vegas trimmed it down in the end, but still not enough. The Warriors still won with a 6-goal victory. Just domination from Vancouver on all parts. Just to review for Week 4, 3 guys had 9 points. 2 of them from the Knighthawks. Thomas McConvey and Ryan Lanchbury had 9 for the K-Hawks, and Jeff Teat had 9 for the Ottawa Black Bears. Now we're going to go into the game against Philadelphia Wings and start with a couple previews. Wings are 1-0 after beating the Colorado Mammoth last Saturday afternoon. It's a very low-scoring game, 8-7. Not a whole lot that impressed me about Philadelphia offensively. Defensively, they're very solid, and Nick DeMude had a really good game with 52 saves on 59 shots, earning the win. Joe Rezateris, former Nighthawk with the old franchise, had 2 goals. Brennan O'Neill, we'll talk about him in a little bit, he had 1 goal. Eric Fennell, another former Nighthawk with the old Nighthawks franchise, had 2. Phil Caputo, who's with the current Nighthawks a couple years ago, had 1. Landon Sinfield, the rookie, had 1, and Evan Messenger had a goal. think this week is going to fare a lot better for Jeremy Thompson at the faceoff X. Nick Rowlett is no pushover, but he is certainly not Trevor Baptiste. Like we said last week with San Diego, they were going to have to score a ton to stay with the Knighthawks, and they did not, only scoring 7. Kind of the same story this week with the Wings. Only scoring 8 against Colorado is not going to do it. This Knighthawks offense is potent, and we saw that in Week 1. Ideally, Philadelphia is going to have to score 13 or 14 to stay in this game. Knighthawks just too good offensively, and it's going to be a rough day if Philly can only score 8 again. Plus, going against Ryan Hartley, who's coming off the best game of his career. Hopefully, Hartley can keep his momentum going, and if you're a Wings fan, you definitely want to get him moving early and get some goals early on to get Hartley out of rhythm, or else he will cook again like he did against the Seals. Now we're going to go over my 3 keys to the game. Number 1, most importantly, get Nick DeMude moving. Colorado had a lot of success moving the ball east to west and getting Nick DeMude out of position. Knighthawks should do that fairly easily. They're very good at doing that against San Diego, making Origlieri move all over the place, making him really uncomfortable. Number 2 is the Wings' big shot, number 34, Brennan O'Neill. O'Neill is a monster when it comes to size and skill. Knighthawks need to make him uncomfortable early on. He can take over a game at any moment and just start scoring goals like there's no tomorrow. Number 3, Philadelphia took 6 penalties and Colorado only went 1 for 6 on the power play. That was really the story of the game in that matchup. The Knighthawks need to take advantage of stupid Philadelphia penalties. Knighthawks went 2 for 4 on the power play against San Diego. It's going to be key for the Knighthawks to take advantage of those penalties and just take control of this game early on and don't look back. And to the listeners that are going to be at the game on Saturday, just take a moment and be grateful that we have the Knighthawks still. In June and July, it was looking really rough. It really looked like there was going to be no lacrosse in Rochester this year and for the future. Seneca Nation came in and saved the day, and just have to be grateful that we have a team in this market. Probably going to be a really emotional day for a lot of fans, as it was a really tough summer with no answers until August when we finally had our prayers answered. I would also suggest to the fans, go back and watch the press conference when the Seneca Nation bought the team. You can really get a good feel for what they want to do with this team and the future that they want to bring to the city. And again, a giant thank you to President J. Conrad Seneca and the whole Seneca Nation for saving this franchise and keeping lacrosse in the Flower City for this year and the years after. Again, home opener on Saturday. I hope to see a lot of people in the building. Let's show the Seneca Nation that Rochester needs the Knighthawks, and be grateful for the Seneca Nation for keeping the team here in the Flower City. Thank you all for listening. This has been another episode of Against the Boards.